In an alternate 1997, people live in a dystopian area called the wasteland. Endless nuclear wars have left the land bereft of natural resources and inundated with acid rains. The desolate land augmented the value of water to a point of making it a currency. Our protagonist is a teenage comic book collector called the Kid. He rides his BMX bike through the trash to collect items. He suddenly uncovers 3 beheaded heads mounted on poles while searching through the rubbish. This signifies that someone has claimed the rubbish and is telling foreigners to keep away. The Kid notes the location in his notebook, which he uses to keep track of safe spots. He then goes to his safe underground bunker to rest and enjoy some comic books and music. Later he goes to exchange junk for water from trader Bagu. He gives Bagu a pen for a single bottle of water. The Kid is frustrated because it isn't enough and won't last him a single week, so Bagu offers the Kid his favorite comic book, Turbo Rider. While leaving, he runs into Fred, a big tough guy cowboy, who just beat his opponent at arm wrestling. Fred tells him to watch out for personal space and is then called away as his brother, Scout, went missing. While reading Turbo Rider in the playground, the Kid meets a fascinating, adventurous young woman named Apple. When she gives him a bracelet and calls him her best friend, he rushes to his bunker out of fear due to her eccentric attitude, especially when she talks to a corpse. Her attempts to become friends with him are also very weird. Later, he has a dream about being attacked with his mom by some gang. When he wakes up, he discovers Apple followed him by using the wrist gadget. Her weird attitude intimidates him, and she touches his toys and all the items he's collected. She is very impressed by his bunker. He hesitantly lets her stay with him when she returns the comic book he dropped and prepares breakfast. This society is ruled by Zeus, a vicious and crazed tyrant who resides in the Hell House. Scout appears in front of Zeus and a joyful audience of his supporters. In the opening scene, the commander enjoys organizing battles among the individuals he kidnaps from the city. They fight for their lives inside a ruined swimming pool. Scout's name is currently being chanted by the audience because he has slain all of the opponents he was designed to face. Zeus, on the other hand, cannot let a heroic man like Scout walk free. He orders Skeleton, his nasty right-hand man, to execute him with a hammer. While Scout has already met his demise, we witness Fred and his guys in another location, searching the Hell House for him. When they stop to rest, Skeleton charges and mercilessly massacres the majority of. Fred is taken before Zeus, while still alive. Apple is taught how to survive in the wasteland by the Kid as he takes her out to forage. He grows to like her personality more and more the longer they are together. He finds her a helmet and a weapon. She greatly enjoys her gnome stick and starts training. As a captive, Fred is carried to Zeus's residence. He is known as the legendary arm wrestler, according to Zeus. He invites him to perform his abilities against Skeleton, so he can assess him. Fred assaults them. Even though he appears to be reaching out his hand to try to hit Zeus, Skeleton amputates his hand. The child and Apple get along fine in the interim. Apple claims that once her old closest friend passed away, she was left alone and had no relative. The Kid was the first person she encountered after that, so she made him her new best buddy right away. The game of tag makes Kid miss the youth he never had. He and Apple are getting close when a guy suddenly appears from the bushes and kidnaps Apple. Apple tells him to run, and in panic, the Kid flees, and the guy stays on his back. When he's about to catch him, the Kid leaps high, loses control of his bicycle, and crashes hard. He lands on top of a bunker entrance. When it cracks, he falls inside. He had never seen anything like that before. The Kid is fascinated by a peculiar shining sphere on it. When he does, the bunker starts to glow. He gently advances and comes across the body of Turbo Rider, his favorite superhero, lying in front of the instrument panel. It turns out that he was slain before he could finish the job, which was to prevent humans from destroying the world. When the Kid puts on the superhero outfit, he finds that it still functions. He has the ability to fire a single discharge of lethal lightning from his hand. There's a display indicating how much juice the suit has left. Now that the Kid has transformed into his favorite superhero, he is prepared to help his pal. When he searches for Apple, he runs across the man who kidnapped her. The kidnapper attacks the Kid with his detachable punch, but his blow is useless against the Turbo's strong electric shock. At the swimming pool that is vacant in the Hell home, Fred, Apple, and a stranger are standing. Zeus has created a rickety machine. He explains that human blood, muscle, and brains are made of a lot of water. His machine can extract water from people's bodies. After the fights, he takes the bodies of all those who lost and places them in it to be mixed and grinded, so he can extract 10 liters of water per body. He says the trio is forced to battle his troops, and he brings in big menacing warriors as the crowd cheers. The ones who lose will be thrown in the machine and used for water. This is how he has earned so much power and loyalty. Everyone follows him because of this water machine. The Kid shows up there and declares that he is a superhero before the fight even begins. Zeus chuckles and challenges the Kid to demonstrate his abilities, but the Kid's wrist gadget runs out of juice and stops functioning. Along with the others, he is tossed into the pool, where the struggle begins. The others first stand in astonishment, as Apple begins to defeat the foe before joining. The Kid and the squad each take on an opponent, and use ingenious and brutal ways to win. They ultimately triumph, despite the pool turning into a bloody puddle. Zeus is shocked by the outcome, yet he defies his own advice and assaults the group. While the others are being ambushed from behind, Apple gets shot. The kid is about to lose, when all of a sudden his armor recharges itself. He blasts everyone and defeats them. Apple mysteriously recovers, and a shocked Zeus is left behind as the gang makes a run for it, as everyone is distracted by the explosive power of the suit. He gives Skeleton the order to execute them all, as soon as they disappear from view. The kid and Apple are sitting on a couch in the fields in the next scene. Apple is revealed to be a robot when the kid sees a hole in her chest. He first panics and is about to bolt, but Apple behaves normally, which draws him back. She also admits that she is a friendship robot, designed to provide emotional support for people. She pauses for a moment as she makes her way home. When she gets well, he learns that her transmitter is broken and will only function for a short while. If all the hearts disappear, she deactivates. They meet Bagu, the water dealer, in search of a replacement. He is aware of a location where many worthless robots are abandoned, some of which may still include a functional transmitter. He only shares the location after Apple offers him a friendship bracelet with a tracker. The pair travels to the disposal place, when Apple immediately shuts down, slowing both of them down. They come to a halt for the night and rest behind the ruins of a shop. When she recovers, the two bond, and Apple shows him some of her martial arts programs. As they watch the sky at night, the kid tells Apple about Zeus attacking his parents when he was a child. At the same time, Skeleton and his people have discovered and kidnapped Bagu. They take him to Zeus, where he is interrogated about the kid, as well as tortured, with his guts hooked to the wheels of a bicycle. He informs him that they went to the robot's grave, but Skeleton and Zeus do not spare him for betraying them. Skeleton and his goons appear the next morning where the kid and Apple are. He finds them when Apple's life signs dwindle, and she has one heart left. They flee, but are finally trapped on a ledge. The kid uses his powers to eliminate the two goons, but Skeleton evades the attack, and cuts off Apple's head with a sharp disc. The kid slips from the cliff while trying to catch her head in astonishment. Skeleton goes back to the Hell House, believing his enemies are both dealt with. He is unaware that the kid's armor allowed him to withstand the fall without getting hurt. Once they arrive at the robot cemetery, Apple no longer just misses a transmitter, but also the full portion of herself beneath her head. Despite her terrible state, she keeps her cheerful attitude and says she's happy because the kid is her best friend. The kid struggles to stay conscious as he breathes in the toxic waste. He barely binds Apple's head to a random robot body. He begs her to awaken, but she never does. The kid passes out, and we see his history in a flashback. Zeus and Skeleton attacked the kid's parents because they had a barrel of water. His parents tried to protect themselves, but were brutally put to rest. The mother was the one that took out Zeus's eye with a crossbow. The kid was forced to flee and live a lonely life after that. The kid finds himself with Fred as he awakened. He is leaving Apple at the landfill because she is a hopeless case, while taking him to a safer location. The kid notices Fred's new cybernetic hand and a highly explosive container, Turbo Mega Blaster, on Frederick's ride. The two decide to put an end to Zeus and his lackeys. Apple recovers a bit, she picks up a toy unicorn, and leaves. Skeleton reappears in front of them at that same moment once more. We witness Apple reviving as the two prepare to combat. She searches for her pal using the wrist gadget. Zeus rejoins his right-hand man on the street and makes fun of the other person for trying to fight them. A fight breaks out as some of his followers attack the two. The kid's armor has ceased to function after his most recent fall from the cliff, leaving him with nothing but his might to combat the enemies. As they are fighting to survive, the kid adopts gory methods to fight. He does not back down and is willing to fight dirty. Fred is also impressed by the kid and starts bashing through the enemies. The area degenerates into carnage. Fred and the kid defeat most of the henchmen. We notice the timer on Fred's bomb. Skeleton's attacks are blocked, and his hand is broken by Fred, leaving him defenseless. The kid does his best to blast most of them, but he finds it difficult to overcome Zeus's left-hand lady. He is about to perish when Apple suddenly rides up on her bike and uses her unicorn horn to stab the woman. She meets up with the kid again and provides him with a spare armor repair component. Zeus still isn't ready to give up. He fires at the kid and Apple before claiming victory, completely disregarding the fact that the kid is shielded by his armor and that Apple is not a human. The kid unleashes a final attack to finish Zeus once and for all. He and Apple then have a final kiss while it is pouring blood. They are then shocked by a turn. Zeus jumps up once again, revealing that he is truly a robot and that the attack had no effect on him. He was handled brutally, despite being a business model created to be a human's buddy. So, after destroying his lord, he gradually established his own empire to reign over people. The kid calls him a mistake and shoots explosives that Fred had taken with them to blow him up. However, the most recent explosion also hurts them. Apple absorbs it to save the kid, but she perishes in the process. She is being held by the kid as he sobs at her passing. The kid burying Apple is seen in the subsequent scene. Fred explains that the earlier explosion resulted in a groundwater stream appearing and filling the area with clean drinkable water. In doing so, he hopes to save hundreds of lives among the inhabitants of the wasteland, so no one will suffer the same fate as his parents. The kid bids him luck and rides out to discover the uncharted territory on the other side of the wastelands.